Thank you for listening. It Doesn't Work That Way podcast is sponsored by the WATZS Announcer. The WATZS Announcer is a media brand that covers the amazing emerging talents in the entertainment industry, including movies, TV, and more. The inaugural episode features the cast of Frame of Reference, hosted by Amanda Gaddison. The exclusive interview will be available only on the WATZS Prod YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe for notifications. Come on, mic quality. Come on, MZ Studios. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right, we're ready. If you're recording, we're ready to go.
I'm rolling.
All right, we're rolling. Come on, friend. You ready? Hello and welcome to It Doesn't Work That Way with me, Kalisha Zachery.
And me, Kachelle Zachery.
Hey, Kachelle.
Hello. Happy, you know what?
Happy day.
Happy day.
Happy day, friend.
I love it. Yes.
So on this episode of It Doesn't Work That Way, the podcast, I really want to talk about contracts. You know, I think it's important from a creative standpoint, a business creative standpoint, but I also think it's important because we're in the middle of, we just wrapped up contracting for our next series and we're producers and it's been a lot of paperwork the team has been preparing back and forth. So the question I have today, Kachelle,
I'm listening,
is as an independent artist in the film industry, signing a contract isn't necessary when seeking opportunities.
No. Not if you're in this for business.
I need to hear you say it though.
If you're in this for business.
No, I need to hear you say
it absolutely does not work that way.
Well, what she said.
It just doesn't.
Okay. So I think that's the through line for me is go back to the intention around why you're creating whatever it is you're creating, right?
Yes.
I think if it's a business versus a hobby, and have you ever ran into somebody or talked to somebody in the industry? You're 16 years deep, right? We've been to a lot of networking events, had a lot of conversations.
Yep.
But have you ever ran into someone that was like, you know what, I was just acting as a hobby and then, it just turned into a business? Or do you think people even think about that? Like, oh yeah, I want to do this for a career. I love when I hear the young people that's coming up in the industry, that emerging talent was like, yeah, this is the career path that I want, because I equate that career path to they know they need to make money, and in order to do that, they need to have some type of contract. But have you ever came across that?
I can't say that everyone I've come across has been aware that this is necessarily a business. The majority of the individuals that came across my journey, most approach creativity as, just fun. It's rare that I hear people talk about being a creative and then having a plan.
Wait a minute.
Or being a creative and having a strategy, or being a creative and knowing how to build relationships, or being a creative and being very intentional about the type of work they're wanting to attach their likeness to. It's rare that level of awareness is keen, that is at the height. Most of the time when I meet individuals, I'll even use myself.
Yeah.
So as a creative, you're so eager to just create, to just get that out, that you don't necessarily figure like, could I do this full time as a business? Could this be a way for me to parlay income and take care of myself? But when you start to do it for 16 plus years and your knees start hurting, you're like, man, I need benefits. And then you start thinking about the future, and you've been like, man, I need a savings and a retirement. It changes the game. When I started this business, I was 20. Oh my gosh, I was 25 years old.
Many, many moons ago.
I'm 45, so that was 20 years ago. So at 25, thank God, I came in it like a business.
Well,
I was like, I'm starting a business.
Can I start back though,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
a little bit? Because when you talked about having fun, being a creative and having fun,
Yes.
And I'm more on the business side. So those that follow the podcast, shout out to episode 1. Go back to the first episode. We said we're going to be fully transparent here. Yeah. And the reason why we even started the podcast, which, it's a beautiful thing. But, when you first brought me the script, the script to Frame of Reference.
Yes.
We were in a production business. Like we had our own production company, but it wasn't film production, right? Mm-mm. But when you brought me this,
it was event production.
It was event production,
not
right?
Weddings.
We love brides, but we just wasn't gonna work with y'all.
No,
it's y'all special day. We're good. So we were just doing events. We did some major prominent events.
Yeah,
corporate events all over. Though we did a lot. We did a lot, and it was great. But when you brought me the script, I immediately read it and I gave you the feedback because you were a secret writer. We talked about that on previous episodes. Yes. And I thought, because of my non-creative self, like I'm not a creative in that way, but I thought, oh wow, well, this is a show. We can sell this. You know what I mean? So I immediately started thinking business, but do you think that's attributed to, when I say business and infrastructure, contracts, NDAs, just the stuff that you need to be able to protect yourself? Do you think that's because we had a corporate background we could think like that?
I think it helped. I think having the corporate background helped. When we started the business back in 2008, we started it as a business from onset. I think that's been an advantage for us, that we never came out the gate. Someone told me at a very young age, if you're not doing it now, you won't do it later.
Yeah.
We started it as a business. So we went in, with all the parameters that you need to
have a business.
To uplift a business. Yeah. And we always started with contracts. And a wise person told us that you need those written agreements just in case you break up.
It was so good. He's like, oh, you need that just in case you get a divorce in business.
Yes.
And so I think right now, we're living in a generation that content is king, right? So, and people start off as a hobby, like, oh, I just want to TikTok my day, or show the world my day, or whatever it is. And then it happens to go viral, and then they're not protected, right? So they have so many different impressions and views, and they didn't make a cent off of it, right? So I think when you come into it, and what we do in film, you said you didn't meet anybody that just said, hey, I'm a hobbyist. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to do this for a hobby versus an actual business.
I think I had hobbyist conversations, so I can't say that.
Okay. What was that hobbyist conversation like?
Like, I'm on a path of discovery. I'm trying to get my feet wet. I'm trying to really see if this is something I want to sink my teeth into and really go at it. And so I understand that. I do get that. So I've seen a lot of that. And then again, to piggyback off my analogy about the fun part. I think when people, you say, oh, you're a filmmaker, they just don't see, and they don't equate a lot of,
I want them to come on set,
a professional responsibility with that, unless you are, one of the high levels, like Marvel.
Shondaland.
Sure. But if you're like an independent creative, they just think, you out
here playing.
It basically. And I'm like, no, it's all business from the moment I connect with you to the moment we complete a project. It's all business. And that's important to me. But I'm a businesswoman, so I'm not playing with myself.
Okay.
So I'm not going to play with you. And so I think for a lot of people, it's a journey. But it does amaze me, just sitting and talking to people and having conversations and learning people, how people like, oh, yeah, I jumped on a project and I was, no contracts were involved. They just said, if it gets picked up, then we'll come back and holler at you.
Okay. So I think sometimes when those worlds happen to overlap, where it's like people in the industry, let's say that they have discovered that they don't want this to be a hobby anymore. They want to make income leading to a retirement, leading to benefits.
Right.
Let's say that's where they're going. I feel like at some point they begin to realize the difference between independent production companies. Like,
I
I think one
agree.
person said, this is the most paperwork I've ever signed on a project. I've never seen that much.
Right.
And we were kind of like, well, what projects was you working on? Because it should take that to protect yourself. Why do you think that is? Why doesn't it work that way? Why does it take that much to protect yourself?
The It Doesn't Work That Way podcast offers an enlightening perspective into the experiences of both independent creatives and seasoned industry professionals across television, film, journalism, and beyond. Hosted by the wonderful Kalisha Zachery and myself, Kachelle Zachery, experts with extensive knowledge, invaluable insights, and engaging wit. Because you want to clearly, I'm a person that appreciates clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I want to clearly define the expectation that you have of me, and I clearly want to understand the expectation I should have of you. I personally would be frustrated as a creative if I went into a project not knowing exactly like how is this going to work. Basically, you know, what do you need from me? What do I need from you? You know, what time do I show up? When do I leave? How much do you need for me to perform? What's, you know, what does this look like after we wrap? Like those things are important to me. And I know that everybody is different. So no shade, you know, whatever floats your boat. But for me, I'm very conscious of time.
Yes.
And I don't want nobody to waste it.
Child.
And, you know, for me, I'm so aware of time. Sometimes it annoys me how aware of time I am because I'm always thinking about like, is this the best use of my day? Is this the best use of my energy? Is this the best use of my productivity? Is this the best use of my creative ideas and outputs? That means something to me. Like everything else, you know, whatever. I can't even get back the time we spent coming to the session today.
You can't.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We had a dope conversation.
It was dope.
Yeah, you know, on our way over.
It was a business conversation. It wasn't like a hobby. We used that time commuting
strategizing,
here. You know, strategizing. And, you know, and there's balance with that because you have to have times where you're not talking about the business.
Of course.
You have to have times where you just, you know, having your self times. But I think in the landscape of the industry, which is being turned upside down, you know, streaming has truly changed a lot. I think when we talk about people wanting to do this as a business, I think the first thing they have to do is get very comfortable asking for contracts
all the time,
and they have to get comfortable reading contracts.
Man.
Our attention span so low. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Get comfortable reading contracts, even if you don't understand the language, the verbiage. Google is truly our best friend.
What? Say that again.
Google is truly our best friend. The Webster Dictionary is here to help us. It's not against us. It's for us.
No.
And so those things are very simple in nature, but it seems like I get it. It takes a level of engagement to go look up a word and then try to dissect this meaning. You have to be engaged. So I'm really speaking. I want to level set this. You know, you tend to pay for what you don't feel like doing.
Correct.
So if you got resources or can't do, correct. So if you don't want to wash your clothes, you know, you might hire a housekeeper or you might take them to the dry cleaners.
Right.
If you don't want to cook your own food, you'll hire a chef, right? If you don't like reading contracts, you may have enough resources to hire an attorney. But these things have to be a part of your business acumen.
Can we talk about that too?
Yes.
You know, we have 2 attorneys that we work with, right?
We do.
And we know a third, you know, who sometimes without charging, you know, we just have a basic question.
Yeah.
And she'll be happy to answer it because she, you know, really wants to help us in that manner and see us win and not make dumb decisions, because that's what general counsel is for. Okay. General counsel is not to tell you to make the decision. They're not going to say the best. When it comes to a contract, the best thing I've heard back from our attorneys was, what do you want?
That is such a beautiful question. And I love when when we have our powwows with they're amazing women with the attorneys.
Oh wait, shout out amazing Black women.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And so when we have those questions, I love when we get, the feedback and she asked us so eloquently, she was like, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we state what we want, you got to be honest about what you want. You got to be honest about
Most
what
definitely.
you want. It's easy. It's like she was like, well, then this contract is an easy no.
So let's stay there just for a minute.
Sure.
Because as creatives, Kachelle took her intellectual property from her mind. She spread it out over 8 episodes. We invested in this product, which is what it is. It's a product.
It is.
And we hired people. We did all of these things. And all along the way, there's always a paper trail. It's a contract. It is some type of communication, it's not agreement to go to lunch. It's an agreement for you to show up on set, for you to do the work. And I remember our attorney was going through the contract, and we're working with emerging independent creatives, right? So normally most of them don't have a quote unquote team. And she said, you know what, because of where they're at in their career, at the very end of it, it's like this huge disclaimer that says, stop, read this, I'm paraphrasing, but make sure you understand what it is that we're asking of you, because this contract is legally binding for a reason, because I'm not I'm not asking you just to join a TikTok. I'm asking you to come onto a production that is hundreds of thousands of dollars with a lot of people. And so that contract is important. And that's been a contract around creative process all along the way. We have not had a creative process, right, without a contract, because this is a business. Had this been a hobby, right, it would have looked different.
I agree.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that we landed that part of this conversation. Is going back to the top, is why are you creating? What is your intention?
I like that a lot.
And even if you're on a discovery and your intention is, I want to discover if I want to do this full time and quit my day job and, do that. If that's a case and you're writing it down about what you want, and that's where we're talking about what you want with the lawyer, you have to write that down. We knew what we wanted and we got a contract. And because we knew what we wanted, that contract was not what we wanted. So my general counsel was not there to help tell me to make the decision. She was there to say, if you make the decision, this is what you are liable for. Mm-hmm. And it can be scary when you start to say legal jargon. You know what I mean? It can be intimidating, especially to a creative who just wants to do what?
Create.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. As a creative, sometimes I appreciate our dynamic here at WATZS. Mm-hmm. I'm creative director, so I get to focus a lot of my energy on
all things creative.
And then Kalisha is the business side. And so a lot of her responsibility here at WATZS is looking at the deals and, reading over the terms. And I appreciate that I get to stay in my lane, but sometimes I have to show up to the table and I have to speak because it could impede on the creative process.
Now, tell our audience, one of Kachelle's favorites in the creative world, music, fashion, is
Pharrell Williams.
Yes. So Pharrell has a great, you sent this to me on Instagram.
Sure.
Tell them the quote.
Creativity without business is usually victimization.
Yeah. Yeah.
And business without creativity is a waste of fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Pharrell.
Yeah. I would agree with him. Because as much as you genuinely love to do this, and I genuinely love to do it, but at some point, you're going to want to turn a light on in your home.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to open
Come
up.
on,
okay. You're going to want to turn the water on. You're going to want to, take a shower. You're going to want to wash clothes.
A hot one.
Okay. You're going to want,
shelter.
Even the roof over your head. You're going to want to put gas in the car. You may just want to go by Starbucks.
Shout out. Starbucks, call us if you need some advertisement, okay?
And get something to drink. So as much as I love creating, there are some things in my life that I'm very snobbish about. And I don't make.
You said it though, medical.
Right. I want like
Vision?
I want to go to the eye doctor. Yeah. And so
dental.
Exactly. I want to get the teeth clean. So and then there's just some things that I just like. I like certain aesthetics in my life. So
when you talk about things that you like, please elaborate real quick.
Oh, you sure? I'm a candle snob. And so, I want like good candles. So shout out to Diptyque.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
and Le Labo.
Yes. Those are my candles of choice. Then I don't like fake flowers. I like, my flowers must be fresh. I like fresh flowers.
She's not lying, y'all.
So these things cost money.
So you went basic needs? And that's why I'm laughing, because you was like, I want water and light. So you did basic needs, and then you was like, these are the things that I don't have to have, but I like.
Thank you for listening to the It Doesn't Work That Way podcast, which is sponsored by Frame of Reference. The series explores the vulnerable and often hectic lives of a close group knit of friends and provides a truthful evaluation of how fear and past misfortunes can define our present point of view. You can stream season 1 of Frame of Reference on Prime Video.
And I want that. And I need that. So can I get that? I want to create as a career, as a business. Do you see yourself creating till the day you take your last breath?
That's it. I'm going to pour out every single thing that I see in my mind, my goal, my life's goal.
Be a Ridley Scott up in here.
Yes, I want to pour out everything. We only here for so much. You just basically, I count them as seconds. And as long as I'm given an opportunity to see another day, I want to pour out. I want to pour out everything that I see. And I'm a wise enough person to understand that I want to be comfortable doing it. Right.
Can I say this? I love that you say it makes sense. And then when we talk about victimization, I think people in the independent space, or they may be coming up, they're saying, hey, I want to do this. I want to discover. On that road to discovery, I think that's where a lot of victimization is. And then they don't know how to change from once they make up their mind that this is now going to be their career. It's hard for them to switch over and say, you know what? Everybody here don't have the best intentions. So, they're saying they're going to pay us at the back end, or they're saying, just work for, pizza, credit or whatever. And you can only do that so long because, to Kachelle's point, if you want to do this as a business, you want to work with people who are in this for business.
Correct.
And then the contract, the NDAs, all of that stuff. I know NDAs kind of has like a really weird connotation, I think, nowadays.
Only because it is being abnormally used. It's being abused. When you are signing a non-disclosure agreement around ideas and content,
intellectual property,
correct, that is the proper use for it. I would not dare ask someone to sign an NDA to come to a social event I'm having.
Child, I don't. Right now, with the landscape we in today, I don't want to go.
It's scary, and so then you have to have enough agency and awareness to say, does this non-disclosure agreement make sense for me to just go to Kalisha's,
Kalisha's Christmas party?
Like, what are we doing?
Why am I signing a non-disclosure to go to Kalisha's Kwanzaa party?
Not Kwanzaa.
I don't want to go, y'all.
You keep all that.
I don't want to go.
Keep it all.
I can see an NDA for certain things. I think I you know what? Forgive me for laughing, but it's funny because it's catchy in songs and stuff like that, and I get it. But when you're coming to business, you gotta really ask yourself some questions.
Right.
And then I also want to say, because people say we're independent and we don't have any money, we don't have a budget. And I'm the firm believer that
if you got $1,
girl, you got a budget.
You got a budget. And I know that sounds so
facetious,
but it's true. It's really true. If you got $1 and I'm saying, Kalisha, will you come on and will you come on and direct for 5 cents? And you willing to direct for 5 cents?
Can I get that in writing?
Correct. I will put it in writing.
I'm going to direct. And then here's the key, because I want you dropped the key earlier.
Can I say this before you go there? And I need people to really recognize that if you have $1, you have a budget, because then you can multiply.
Well,
So if it's $1 on project 1, let's say it's going to be $10 on project 2.
Come on.
And then if it's $10 on project 2, it's going to be $100 on project 3. $100 on project 3 is going to be $1,000 on project 4. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, $1 million. So if you can allocate $1 and you can find a team that's willing to work within the frame of that $1, you have a budget. And so I kind of get, it kind of makes me semi like, come on, y'all, let's really think this collectively.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something's getting paid for.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Because I hope.
Well,
I hope. And that's why I think we need to have a contract.
okay.
You understand what I mean? And I think you need to have a contract, and you need to be, first off, I think you need to, we've established that we're creating for a career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then we know we need to make a living at this.
Correct.
So you got to know your number, and you got to be realistic about that number. You can't you got to be realistic about that number.
You do.
Okay.
Because it's laughable to me, like when, we're WATZS Productions.
Yep.
And, you know, it's laughable to me.
WATZS. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. We're not Warner Brothers.
No.
And I respect Warner Brothers.
I want to work with Warner.
Warner has been thumping for 100 years.
Hello.
They got it. And so I do think it's semi-ridiculous when people try to compare like Warner Brothers to, you know, any
Productions.
any independent
and we're not
production
talking
house.
about A24 because it ain't the same thing. Okay.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so I think you do have to have a level of discernment, and you have to have wisdom. Okay, this is the independent production house that is clearly professional, clearly handling me like a professional talent. And I have to recognize that, you know, they are in the independent space. And then if I'm dealing with Warner Brothers, they're giving you contracts. You working with a contract with WATZS, and you working with one with Warner Brothers. Yeah, but they're gonna have different language. It's gonna be a different pace because of the parameters of the project,
Correct.
the parameters of the deal. So I do think it does require a level of understanding your industry.
Oh, Kachelle. And I'm so glad you said that, because we started out when we changed our company from event productions to film. The first thing we said was, and we did some research, and we seen like it's weird. People, you know, I didn't get paid for that project, but I got a reel. And we went to the table, I remember it, and we said it's no different than us hiring, you know, someone to come and set up the backdrop. They got to be paid. Why would I not pay someone to be here? So I think when you have a contract, you know, even if your budget is a student film and you only got $5,000, I think you should, and you know this is the career you want to do, and it's not a hobby. You're not on that self-discovery path. You know this is what you want to do. It is considered ethical practice to pay people for their work, and you be honest with what you can pay them. So we never promise Warner money. I promise, right? Because I got to cross the street. I ain't gonna cross the street on you. I'm gonna face you. I don't owe you nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I also think that you have to be mindful of the parameters. Again, we've had projects where our day rate, some people just flat out told us, you know, I'm beyond you guys.
And that's fair.
And I respect that
so much.
Why? Because it's just their truth. If they had said like, you know, projects paying at this amount, I've done enough.
Yep.
I'm trying to grow my career.
Yep.
I'm moving on. Not to be rude or not to be condescending, but just to say like, you know what? I've done my fair share of projects under this budget level, and now I'm growing my skill set and I'm taking it to another level. I respect that level of honesty.
If I can add on to that,
You
and I
can.
don't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
But the people who communicate in that way
Yes.
are professional.
I would agree.
What the unprofessional side of that communication is running around town or wherever you're at talking about, can you believe they only wanted to give X amount? And it's like, but that's my legitimate budget.
Right. And so that part right there I frown upon, because if someone is telling me, Kachelle, I'm looking for a director and this is all I have to give. I'm not going to shit on what you have.
Well,
I'm just going to politely say, hey, I'm either ready to rock with what you got because I believe in the story that you're telling,
okay,
or thanks, but no thanks. And let me try, if I have some referrals and some other people that may be interested in doing it, there is a dignified and respectful way to handle everybody, no matter what level that they're coming in on this business. So
a professional. So if you're doing this, and I want to wrap up, but I have so much to say because I also want to talk about red flags, and so stay tuned for this because this will be a 2-part for us, I think. We talk about contracts, but then let's talk about the red flags.
Wow.
Right. And there's red flags because even if you do get a contract, right, somebody says, oh, yeah, I'll put it in writing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. There are red flags that we have to look at. And so I think if you go to our website, shout out WATZSproductions.com, WATZS. If you go to our website, the first thing on our homepage is integrity, patience, and respect. Right. That patience is so keen. It's so critical.
And it's transferable.
Any industry. I don't want my doctor to rush.
Not at all.
Slow down, doctor. Slow down. You don't have to rush me. I need to know I don't want my dentist to rush. I don't even want you to rush my food.
Okay. And I think that anytime that you get into situations, whether it's contractually, whatever the project is, and we'll end on this note.
Well, Can I say
key,
this? I need you to give the key. The key was clarity brings productivity.
Okay.
You said it earlier, and that's the key. We like to drop keys every episode, but I didn't catch and say key. So the key is clarity brings about productivity. A contract defines expectations.
I like that.
All right, go for it. Drive us home.
And then I'm going to drive us home on the patience. Most of the times, about, I would say 90%, I'm going to say 95% of the red flags
Part 2
are associated with desperation.
Girl.
And on that note,
I want to thank y'all for listening to It Doesn't Work That Way. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Part 2, red flags. Stay tuned. Kachelle, it's been fun.
It's been fun, friend.
Bye, friend.
Bye. Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us.